reloading in tandem. When the next one reloads, we gotta take him out. You gotta distract him. God, with what? My good looks?
Welcome everybody to a special edition of The Incredible Hoax.
That's right, to commemorate the premiere of Cowboy and Lucky, the series, January 2nd, Fox 44, Sunday at 10 p.m.
Woohoo!
There, that's all the vital statistics.
Did we do the wave or whatever?
There, you saw a little bit of belly for me. That's classic.
We did the wave too.
As Steph always says, that's hot.
Yeah.
And all right, so what we're going to do is Mark's going to review the show. I obviously can't review the show because I wrote it and then me and Russ edited it, and I've like been around and I just know too much and I've seen too much. And
Well, I note that there are two words I cannot use during my review. I can't use heartwarming.
no, for God's sakes, no.
And I can't
Even
use...
if it is, don't say that. Even if we do a special episode where like Cowboy has AIDS,
Yeah.
and Lucky helps him cure it, and they have a moment where they just look at each other and give each other a big hug,
Right.
it's not heartwarming.
Even if there's like, since it's on Fox, if you have a special episode where the guy from House comes in and he has to like warm the heart, on Cowboy to bring him back.
It's still not heartwarming.
It's still not heartwarming.
Never use the word heartwarming with Cowboy. What other word can you not use?
What was the other critic word that you couldn't stand? What was the
There's
other
several
one?
of them. Pretty much hate all the critic words. I know
What was the other
endearing
one?
is one I hate. Heartwarming. Engrossing. That's my number one.
Engrossing.
Engrossing is the word.
He hates engrossing. That's
the word engrossing is so meaningless. It doesn't make any sense.
We'll start off with, we can segue into the review now.
That killed the show again.
Now, Gold Rush, that is indeed the pilot.
Yes, it's the one with the gold robbery.
Yeah, I remember. I just let for people watching at home, but this is the pilot. It's called Gold Rush.
Take it away with your review, and now.
Okay, folks, you want to check this out for a number of reasons. One,
That's right.
This is a solid action comedy. I think it. First of all, the opening sequence is hysterical. They establish that these bounty hunters are brothers and they're beating the tar out of one another. I thought that was really funny.
Oh, the credits? Yeah.
I love the credit. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Now the story itself moves at a crisp pace, and there's a lot of funny, clever dialogue. So you'll want to check that out. Mm-hmm. And the action is. There's a lot of action in this one. A lot of good gunplay. If you like a lot of guns going off and I almost said explosions, but if you like a lot of guns going off and people running down the bad guys and stuff like that, you're going to get your fix without a doubt. What else can I say about it? If you'll remind me, the guy that owns the gold.
Leo Sanchez.
Yeah, Leo Sanchez. That has got to be one of the greatest like villain names. I love it. Leo Sanchez.
Well, he's not a villain.
Well, he's not a villain, but I'm sorry, folks. I mean to say villain, but I love that name.
Okay.
That became a thing on the whole set. Everyone just loved his dialogue. How does it go? If you'll remind me here.
No one steals from Leo Sanchez and gets away with it.
We said that about 1 billion times that weekend shooting.
5, 4.
No one steals from Leo Sanchez and gets away with it.
And I had the privilege to watch a good deal of this episode being shot, and it was like 150 degrees.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of people, local folks, working in this area, giving up of their time to put this project together, and all doing an outstanding job, and it culminates in this pilot episode that is certainly worth your time. It is certainly, if it is going to make you proud that this is a local McLennan County project, and I think most hip families can sit around the TV set with some popcorn, and they'll enjoy this show. It has a big. It just has almost a larger than life quality to it.
Really? Wow.
The characters just have that kind of, you just don't know where their adventures are going to take them next. So I mean it in that sense.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I certainly think everyone should check it out. You're going to see it in HD, and the sound is great. I love a lot of the music cues that you had in there. Seems like y'all's music cues always seem to fit the right moment. And with that, I'll just end by saying it is one hell of a good action comedy. Check it out.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, we've had a lot of fun making them. As of this point, we got one more to shoot. I mean, it's been a totally positive experience. I can't. You're just saying it's cliche kind of thing. No, I mean it's a totally positive experience. I can't think of any negatives. Throw that out there. We've had a lot of fun and shot at some cool locations and shot with some great people. The main bad guy in the Gold Rush. The girl is Pilar Sanders, and that's Deion Sanders' wife. Which we got to meet Deion. I got to meet Deion for like 30 seconds one day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Pilar, that's enough about Deion. Talk about Pilar. Pilar is a really good actress, and she's a trooper. And she was out there in the heat in that black outfit with those plates and stuff on, and she had to be. She had to be burning up.
Right.
But, she's a total trooper, never complained, never said a word, just, did her job. It was a really cool experience shooting.
Well, first of all, that sequence, her part and her fellow characters are wearing black.
Yeah.
And some of them had a couple of layers on too.
Yeah.
So it is like,
Kai, the one guy has the mask on,
and he has a mask on, and I know he probably lost 10 pounds that weekend.
Yeah.
And they were in the van, and of course they have to keep the AC off because the mics would pick it up for the audio, right? And then in the warehouse we had to cut off our fan. And so we'd have a door shut, so any breeze that there was, which was almost non-existent, so you couldn't get help there. So you just had to kind of ride it out, and then you'd have people waiting on their scene, so they're inside.
Retreat to the shade.
Yeah, and it was a
tough shoot.
It was a pretty tough shoot.
Yeah.
Just being the third party observing. Yeah.
It was a tough shoot, but like I said, nobody complained. We just all worked hard. We had a blast doing it. One thing I've never really got to talk about before on camera, at least, is when I first started writing Cowboy and Lucky, everybody brings to a project like this their own interpretations, thoughts, or whatever. If you asked Chris, who plays Lucky, what he thinks of the show, he would give you his point of view. Russ, as a director and as Cowboy would give you one point of view on down the line. And when I came on to the project and I wrote 2 episodes, I wrote one called Stuck in Southside. I wrote one called The Opportunist was the second one I wrote, I think so. Anyway, I basically, when I write, I have to in my head pattern it after something, So what I did was, I thought to myself, what I'd like to do is, let's make it like Grand Theft Auto, the video game. And not so much in action. We're not that kind of action, but in terms of like just story, theme, whatever, I wanted to do a show that had that sort of same morals as Grand Theft Auto. Because anybody out there who hasn't played Grand Theft Auto probably won't get this. And if, that was one of those games that was kind of infamous in the 90s. Because it was so violent and so, oh my God, what is it teaching? Or maybe early 2000s, what is it teaching kids? But they never played it. If you actually played the game, it was a very moral game. It had a moral center. It was just skewed. It was the morals of a drug dealer, the morals of a bad guy, the morals of a cop on the street, which are different than the mom at home.
Yeah.
And what I tried to do was, okay, what would be the morality of an ex-military guy turned bounty hunter? What would be the morality of a free living guy turned bounty hunter?
Yeah,
What is their moral code?
He's kind of living a almost hedonistic
Yeah,
lifestyle,
exactly.
you know.
So what I try to do with all the episodes, and the Gold Rush might not touch on as much as others, but yeah, it does really. They have a moral center. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are presented with a situation, they take action and try and help stop the bad guys. You know, they don't take advantage of the situation. They don't. They don't do anything but jump in and help.
Right.
You know, it doesn't occur to them not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's done in their own way. They always approach situations based on their own set of morals and code.
Yeah, they have kind of like their own code, but they're also determined to get the job done. I mean, you kind of get that sense too that they
exactly.
Yeah, they do want to get the job done.
So when you watch the show, you can't apply the morality of a soccer mom. You can't apply the morality of a college graduate lawyer. You know, it's a totally different set of morality and point of view that these characters have, and that's what the show has. Is that different sort of point of view.
Yeah.
The Gold Rush touches on it some. There'll be more episodes that come along that do it more. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of me as the writer. That's kind of how I see the show.
Well, yeah, there's, you almost want to like trust the audience to kind of know, you know, in the first 5 minutes that they've seen to kind of figure out that, you know, you're not making like Seventh Heaven or Touched by an Angel.
Oh God, yeah.
Those things have their place, but that's not what this is.
Yeah, it's not Dr. Quinn.
This is not Highway to Heaven and Dr. Quinn, those kind of things. That's like, you know, family approved, ABC Family stuff. Yeah. This is more edgy, mature action comedy.
Yeah, it's a PG-13, I would guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or TV-14, I guess.
Well, my question is, which would be, what would be kind of the origins? You know, because you know Chris and Russ, you created the characters. The folks at home might be interested. Kind of, what was the origins that got them to have the idea, and then go back to you.
You'd have to have Chris. We'd have to have,
where you took it from there.
Well, I don't know their origins exactly. I mean, we haven't talked a lot about how they developed the characters or anything like that.
Okay.
Conversation we've never really had. I can only speak to my point of view. And my point of view was I'd seen the movie, and I just sort of took what I saw the movie, the best parts of the movie.
Okay.
The things I liked the best, and I just sort of took it from there. And I applied my own, like I said, I took what I saw in the movie, and I took the moral code of like Grand Theft Auto, and I just sort of mashed them together.
Okay, that's cool.
That's how I approached it. Was in that sense, because the movie does lay the groundwork. If you haven't seen the movie, you can watch it on the website for free, right? Steph's still there, right? Yeah. So you can watch it on the website for free. But yeah, it does lay the groundwork. So I just took the groundwork it laid and just built upon it, and I tried to add more layers to it. Is what I tried to do. Okay. You know, I work in themes. Me and Russ have had this conversation in terms of ideas, movies, and TV shows. You know, Russ's point of view is often he'll think of a scenario, and I think of ideas in terms of theme, and then I apply the scenario to it. And so we kind of work differently. So what I did was I just took the scenario and found my theme and put towards it. I hope that makes sense.
Well, it does. I guess one final question would be is, I think if people watch the show and they see several episodes, they'll pick upon that your dialogue is somewhat unique and it's very clever. What are some inspirations that gave you the idea to do? You know, what's like the dialogue? What kind of drives you to come up with those ideas?
Well, I mean, my favorite writer, and when I say writer, I mean of all, like, books, everything, is Quentin Tarantino. And I love reading his scripts, and I love his movies. His scripts are all sometimes better than the movie, actually, if you read it compared to the final product. And I just love the way his characters are sort of free. in their dialogue. They talk too much sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They use common vernacular. It's classy and trashy at the same time. His dialogue.
Yeah.
So I'm hugely influenced by that. And then a part of it is just my own sensibility. I don't like beating around the bush. I mean, I like to have really, I like to make it real clear what's going on. I don't like to, flower up things.
Right.
So like a lot of times you read the script, in the description, you read other people's scripts, it'll use really flowery words to describe a scene, and I'll be like, no, he puts the gun to his effing head and blows his effing brains out all over this MFer, and
Right.
because that is the clearest, simplest way to get what I want into your head
Yeah.
and you to see it, not the elegant. Or the stone cold of the muzzle. When they get no, screw all that. He
Right.
put the gun to his head and blew his effing brains out.
That's right. Right.
And so the dialogue is the same way. What's the quickest way to get the information into your skull and have it stick there?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I write it.
Well, what's interesting is, Tarantino will at times fall on pop culture, kind of lingo and different terms.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about you kind of taking the baton and running with it. You don't really rely on a lot of that. You
Yeah.
kind of like take it and really kind of come up with some original things.
Well, what I try and do is I don't go to pop culture so much. I go to my own conversations. Like there's one scene where in another show down the line where Cowboy talks about this weird philosophy he comes up with in football. Well, that's really a conversation that me and my cousins, or our cousins, would have after playing Madden. And I would always come up with some stupid idea to how to play football, and they'd tell me how dumb I was. So I wrote a scene where Cowboy says the dumb thing that I would say, and Lucky, being like the cousins, would tell me how stupid I was. And that's where it comes from. There's another scene where Cowboy tells the story about being dragged to the store all the time by his grandma. Well, that's really what happened to me as a kid. I got drugged to the store all the time by my grandma.
Yeah.
So I draw on that a lot too. A lot. And then a lot of the arguments, that's real arguments I've had are inspired by the way I argue in some of the shows. And that's the way I actually argue.
Yeah.
Like Cowboy and Lucky, the arguing, well, you could take those same way it's done. That's the way me and Michelle, my wife, will argue.
Right.
It's just how so I just take what I hear or in real life and I put it into the dialogue.
Well, there's a lot of fun to be had there because you actually have another character at one point.
Yeah.
Have a conversation about, one of the reason why I like in the Bible we're so specific with all these laws.
Yeah.
Was because people back then were so primitive.
Yeah.
They actually had to be told.
They had to write down, "Do not screw a goat." They put this in the Bible.
Yeah, it's actually
Like
you don't want to do that.
They had to. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, you do not lay with your mother. I mean, it's in the Bible.
So I wrote a scene. You're right. I wrote a scene where they use that as an example of this is how dumb people were back in the day.
Yeah.
Do not screw your mom. Do not screw a goat. Do not screw your aunt.
Yeah. So folks, how often do you see a show or a movie and hear that kind of dialogue? You're going to hear some.
Yeah, and it's all based in truth.
Yeah, it's all based.
All my
truth.
dialogue is based in truth. That there are things that really have been said, or there's a real analysis of situations.
Yeah, there are going to be some episodes that are going to be thought provoking.
I'm not going to write a James Ivory dialogue for some Room with a View. That's not happening. That'll never happen for me. It's always going to be way more gritty than that.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I hear life.
Yeah. More kind of in your
Exactly.
face, really.
Exactly. All right.
Hey, we've covered it, man.
All right, a little insight to the Gold Rush, and you won your approval.
Yes, check it
I
out.
like it, but I'm supposed to like it. All right, so check it out.
Yes.
Fox 44, 10 p.m. Sunday, January 2nd. And with that, bid you adieu.
Check it out.
There ain't no one